Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network and welcome to our guest today. Hello, Caroline. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Tony. How are you?
I am wonderful. Very wonderful. Yes, having a lovely day, even though it's kind of, dreary outdoors. That's okay. I have my flowers. I'm always in the
Yeah,
in the
and
garden in
then
my head.
your lovely sunflowers. I like them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, to get us started off here, why don't you share with us where it is you are in the world?
Okay, so I'm in the West Midlands in England, in the UK, about 9 miles from Birmingham. Yeah.
Awesome. And what's your weather like today?
Pretty much, as you mentioned, very, very dull and dreary. Grey skies, not nice. We
Meh.
haven't seen the sun in quite a few days.
Oh dear. Well, we'll have to make our own
That's
sunshine.
no. Yeah, for sure,
Awesome.
for sure.
Okay. So, I'm new to you, you're new to me, and I would really love to get to know you. So, please tell us a little bit of who Caroline is.
Okay. Well, Caroline is mum to three beautiful grown-up children, and Gigi to two little boys. I am a master NLP coach and practitioner, timeline therapist, and just all-round humanitarian, really, a big supporter of mental health and what goes on within that.
Right.
Yeah,
Super
yeah,
important, especially having a knowledge of it and working with it and being able to work with it. Now, you
yeah.
do a lot of stuff with ADHD, is that correct?
Yes, yes. My niche is working with ADHD entrepreneurs to help them build the success mindset they need to succeed in all areas of really, whether that not just in business, but also in just in life generally and in their relationships. Because success isn't just confined to one area, is it?
Hmm.
It's
Right.
holistic. It's holistic. So
Right.
I work with ADHD entrepreneurs in whatever way that they need me to.
I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful. There's not a lot of specializing, I don't, not that I've come across anyways, in those two ways, working those two things together. Now, are you, do you have ADHD? Like, how did you decide that that was a thing for you?
I did. I only discovered last year that I have ADHD, and it was crazy really. Because I kind of always knew I was neurodivergent. I
Mhm.
didn't kind of behave in ways that are typical or seem to react and feel in ways that are typical. And it then became apparent that I do have ADHD. So that was when I found that out, my whole life basically made sense. It
Mm,
was quite it was quite validating in a way because while nobody wants to have a label, I think in a lot of ways it is validating because it explains so much. It explains the struggles one might have had throughout their life. It explains the way they feel about certain things. I mean, it's certainly not something I plan on being defined by, that's for
right,
sure.
right.
But I think it does help to know. So yeah, that's how I found out.
Yeah, that's super interesting that you were, in an adulthood, you're, doing your work out in the world and you only realize, recently that this is a thing for you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
was there like, what was the thing that said, hey, I think this might be the thing, or did somebody work with you to help you understand that?
No, I think what it was because I was doing relationship coaching prior to pivoting to ADHD coaching, and when I realized that I had ADHD, and then I started delving into it a lot more deeply and learning more about it, and getting it all figured out, it became clear that this was something that I felt a calling to work with. I know calling is very much a cliched phrase, but I felt very much that I needed to do that to make a difference in that area because I know how it feels to have it.
Right.
And I know the struggles that I've had, and I know, just the feeling and sometimes the sheer overwhelmingness of it all. And I wanted to work with others to perhaps not struggle as much as I have in the past. So I think that for me, that's what it was. Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I think also, the stigma of these diagnoses that they,
Mm,
are kind of newer in the mainstream, and people
mm,
sometimes shy away from that, or they don't want to be have that label upon them, and they won't go get diagnosed. They won't dig into it because it feels scary. It feels unknown and right? Like, what do I do?
mm.
Where do I start? And that's where I guess somebody like you comes in.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people that they think that ADHD is a mental health issue. It isn't. It's a neurological disorder. It's just that people with ADHD, their brains are wired a little bit differently, and that's really all it is. It's not a mental health disorder. Mental health disorders come up as a result of
Mhm.
having ADHD. They occur kind of concurrently to that.
Mm.
But ADHD in and of itself is not a mental health issue. It's just a neurological disorder, for lack of a better word.
Right. So interesting. So interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that knowledge because I think a lot of people don't actually know that. And
Mm, mm.
yeah, right. Like knowledge is power. Let's get the power out to the women.
It sure is. I think it's becoming more and more studied, shall we say. There's a lot more knowledge around it now because a lot more people are recognizing that they have ADHD and they're seeking out diagnoses and things like that. And I think because of that, there's kind of like an upsurge of education around it, people needing to learn and wanting to understand. But in the same token, there's a lot more understanding that needs to happen around it because there's still so much misinformation out there.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. So, okay, you said you were doing some other coaching before you pivoted with the ADHD.
Mm.
So, what brought you to being a coach to begin with? Was it your own
Um,
challenges or yeah, how did you decide you wanted to be a coach?
yeah, so I started off, I'll just take a sip of water.
You bet.
I started off as a counseling therapist back in 2013
Okay.
in Zimbabwe. And then I kind of slowly started to take an interest in coaching rather than just confining it to counseling and therapy, because I found the more solution focused arena more suitable to what I wanted to do. So I started to look into coaching in 2017. And then, of course, I was inspired by the great Tony Robbins to take a look at NLP. And ever since I did, I started doing some qualifications in that back in 2017 as well. And I just fell in love with it because there's just so much power within NLP.
Yes.
And, lives can be transformed in as little as a couple of minutes or a couple of hours rather than months and months and months with kind of mainstream type therapy approaches. So there's just so much power in NLP and
Yes.
so much, I want to say beauty, because sometimes the way lives are transformed, it is a literal thing of beauty. It really is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I am also an NLP practitioner and
Oh, are you? Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Just I know the power of it and it is um a quick like you start to work with it and you see results
Yeah,
almost instantly sometimes and
yeah,
yeah, it's beautiful. It's like it's such a lovely way to work with people, but it
it
also
is.
helps them work with themselves, I think, more
Mm.
than, traditional counseling therapy. Um,
Yeah, it
yeah,
does. It
feels
does.
more,
It kind of gives people back their power, doesn't it?
yeah.
And I think that's what really matters is people being given back their power because so many people are walking through the world these days just feeling powerless and it sucks. It really sucks. Nobody should have to live like that.
I totally agree with you. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
shedding light and bringing hope to people because that's important. So, when you work with people, like how would you begin working with somebody? What are the kind of things that you might start with a client?
Um, well, I think the most important thing is I always offer a free discovery call before I start working with people. There's no charge for that. and then that gives me an idea of whether or not the potential client and I would be a good fit,
Right.
because it's not every client that's going to be a good fit for me, and likewise, I might not be a good fit for every client. So the discovery call is, kind of all about finding out about that. And then I would essentially see if they wanted one-to-one coaching or whether they want a group coaching program, whether they'd need to go more towards timeline therapy or whether it would basically be a set coaching program, which I'm yet to build up. I should be doing that in the next month or so, or
Awesome.
whether indeed it's something that I tailor specifically for that client. So that would be bespoke sessions of whatever it is that they might need. And then I'd incorporate NLP, I'd incorporate some hypnotherapy, some compassion, that was a mouthful, some compassion focused therapy as well. There's quite a few different things that I'm qualified in outside of NLP. I'm fortunate enough to have been able to get those qualifications as well. So it really depends, and there's quite a big toolbox that I have to give to clients in a bespoke kind of setting. So yeah, there's a lot that I can offer within that. So it just really depends on what the client needs.
On the
Yeah,
individual. Well, I mean,
yeah,
that's the best way, in my opinion, to
yeah, yeah,
have different things, because
yeah,
some things work for
sure.
some people, some things don't
Yeah,
work for other people. But now I have to
absolutely.
ask, you said timeline therapy. What is
Yes.
that? Please tell me about that.
I'm also a timeline therapist. It's very difficult to explain because I've only just recently become qualified in it. But it's basically a process of active imagination
Okay.
whereby you rid yourself of limiting beliefs and negative emotions. Um, it's actually, it works on the unconscious mind. So while you're actively imagining yourself going through your own timeline, um, as you'll probably be aware, their unconscious mind doesn't always know the difference, well, doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imaginary.
Right.
So in that sense, it's very powerful, very, very powerful technique.
I
So
like it.
yeah,
That
I've got
sounds
a
very
7-week program actually that I'm going to be selling pretty soon on timeline therapy. And I recently had my very own breakthrough session with a coach that I worked with, and it was pretty powerful. Got rid of a lot of limiting beliefs and negative emotions, and I
I
was
love
getting
that.
in my own way a little bit, like we do as human beings, just that last kind of barrier that you need to smash through.
Yeah.
So I seem to have accomplished that now. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah,
Good.
timeline therapy is very powerful.
Cool. I like it. I like it. I like those things. I like these things that are, a little bit new, a little bit different, coming at something from a little bit different angle sometimes is all we need to make the change because sometimes we get stuck thinking we have to, only work this way with ourselves and then somebody comes along with something new and interesting and
Yeah,
that for me that makes me want to I want to dig in there. I want to know about that stuff. That's,
yeah.
when it's go
Yeah.
ahead, sorry.
It's really incredible as well because here in the UK we've got something called the Warrior Program.
Okay.
Um, and that the Warrior Program is actually endorsed by King Charles.
Oh,
And it's working with veterans that are trying to overcome PTSD and trauma. And timeline therapy is used within the Warrior Program. So
oh,
that's pretty amazing. That's pretty
yeah.
amazing.
Well,
Yeah,
that says something too, doesn't it? It
yeah,
says, this is it's got the stamp of approval on it. It's not
yeah,
just yeah, it's not just something we're talking about. It's something that's
yeah,
actually working
yeah,
out in the world.
yeah. And it's actually, from what I understand, I mean, I haven't gone deeply into the Warrior Program or anything like that, or the results it's having, but I know that if it's helping veterans, then happy days, happy days. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely. Okay, now something that's a little bit off, but not because it has to do with you. I saw something on your Facebook about the worry window.
Oh yes, the little reel I did. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
I
I
like
think
I
that's
like to do
amazing.
I like to do these little I like to give out little tips and tricks, and reels for for my followers to implement and see if they work. It's quite fun.
Yep, I
So
love that one.
the worry window, you probably saw the reel. It's a process whereby you set aside time to worry about something, and then you write down all those worries and get them onto a piece of paper or a screen or whatever your favorite modality might be. And then after that, you're not allowed to worry about those things anymore. And it kind of frees your mind. You're probably familiar with the brain dump anyway. And when
Uh,
you dump everything out into like the written word, it loses its hold over you, doesn't it? Yeah.
yep. It's amazing. I love that. I saw that and I'm like, oh, that's kind of, I work with something sort of like that. I schedule my you know, the things that I don't really want to look at, those things over
Yes,
there. I schedule time for that so that I can do
exactly.
exactly that, right?
Yeah.
Look at it, see what I can do about it. If I can't do anything about it, well, just put it away. If I can
Yeah.
do something about it, okay, I'll take that action. And
Mm.
I think that's brilliant. I really encourage people to go over and see your tips because
Thank you.
yeah, they're
Thank
they're they're valuable. They're very valuable. So with
you.
that said, how can our women reach you?
Well, I have a Facebook group. I have a website as well, but my website is not really that up to date as yet with everything that I do and provide and everything right now. But I can be found on Facebook under Caroline Gates-Turnbull, and my Facebook group for ADHD entrepreneurs is called the Clarity Club. The Clarity Club. So they can find me there. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, women of the Women's Wellness Network, we are going to put all of Caroline's information into the comments section so that you can find out more about her, reach out to her, see what else she's got going on, maybe go over and check out her Facebook group because that's where I saw that tip, the top tip or something, I think it was called. Um, and amazing value that she's giving out over there. So connect with her and see if there's anything there for you. And Caroline, is there anything else you would like to share with us before we sign off today?
Thanks for that, Tammy. I think just really the importance of bringing mental health as a whole into the space more and more. I mean, I know it's becoming a lot of light's been shined on it recently, and it's just really highlighting that one of the most important things I've learned as well in my journey is that somebody who's really struggling from a mental health perspective might not always reach out. So the latest kind of slogan in the mental health world now is don't wait for them to reach out. Rather you reach in.
Mm,
If you know that somebody is struggling, whether it's your intuition that tells you, whether it's your unconscious mind that tells you, and this is for everybody, please don't wait for to hear sad news about that person. Rather, rather risk looking like a fool, and if they're absolutely fine, that's all well and good. But reach in for people. Ask them, are you okay? Are you okay? In what ways can I help you? You're not alone, that kind of thing. I think it's just really important to do that. So I think overridingly more than anything else, that's the message that I'd like to put out there today is just keep looking out for each other, keep helping each other, keep reaching in. Don't wait for somebody to reach out because they might not do that.
so true. That's very, very powerful. And I've never heard anybody say that. Reach in. That
Yeah.
is amazing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna put that on the wall today because that's super
I,
powerful.
I, I was taught that from mental health talks that I've attended, so I can't take credit for it. But yes, it is just reach. And if you know that somebody's struggling, don't think, oh, well, I'm not 100% sure and I might look like a fool if I ask. Rather look like a fool.
Right.
Rather look like a fool. Just reach in. Just reach in.
Mm.
Because the world is struggling, the world is hurting, and it
Good.
needs all the help it can get right now. So for all of us that have lights to shine, let's do that.
Mm. Shine on.
Yeah.
Shine on, my friend. Okay.
Shine on.
Shine on. Shine on. Okay, women of the Women's Wellness Network. Thank you for watching today. And of course, as always, be well. And Caroline, thank you again so much for coming. It was lovely to meet you.
Thank you for having me, and it was lovely to meet you too.